You have to be accessible. You have to produce a result. You can be proud of your party, but usually on the local issues after the election, what people want you to do is do something tangible to improve their quality of life, and I have tried to take that lesson from 8 years in local office in Richmond into my work in the Senate.
Virginia Senator Tim Kaine is seeking re-election. Kaine says he is running a grassroots campaign, which is one of the reasons he and his staffers were recently at the Stanton Public Library. More than 300 people packed into the standing room only conference area, while an additional 50 people waited in the hallway to get a glimpse of the former vice presidential candidate.
This is my 10th race. I used to be able to say I was undefeated. I can still say I haven't lost the popular vote. I can still say I've never lost the Virginia vote. But races are tough, and campaigning is tough, and you know it. You see it on TV, you see social media. It is a tough line of work, and campaigning is hard.
The Virginia senator told the crowd in the last gubernatorial election, Democrats won key statewide seats.
The most recent election is the one I want to focus on, November 2017, sweeping the statewide seats, winning 15 seats in the House of Delegates, and other seats all over the Commonwealth, local elections. I want to tell you what that meant. I think you know what it means to Virginia. It means that we will get Medicaid expansion done finally. Have a much better chance of redistricting in 2021 being done right rather than gerrymandered years. So I think you have a sense about what it might mean in Virginia, but I want to tell you what it means nationally, because this nation needed a hope injection. It's been a tough year in 2017. It's been a challenging year. People who are deeply afraid, and rightfully so, of things that are happening with this administration. And there had been some special elections during the year and key high-profile races that maybe hadn't worked out the way everybody wanted. And when it came to November of 2017, people were really looking at Virginia. There were two races, New Jersey and Virginia. New Jersey was not really viewed as a national bellwether, but the Virginia elections were being viewed as what is the mood of this country? A bellwether state, a competitive state, what is the mood of this country a year into this administration? I walked into the Senate the Monday morning before the election. I had done 43 events in the 3 weekends before the election for House candidates and others around the state. And I had a good feeling about the way the races were going to go. But I walked in and my Senate colleagues said to me, we saw in Morning Joe this morning, they said Democrats were going to lose. Oh. And they were very worked up. And frankly, at the national level, the party was still fighting about, was the 2016 primary rigged? And they were looking in the rearview mirror with a sense of despondency and despair and worry. And that was the day before the election. And then I went back into the Senate Wednesday morning and people came up to me and said, you have given us some optimism. Now we can look forward to 2018 all over this country. You have given us hope that we can have good results in our states too in 2018. That's what you did. You gave this country a hope injection in November of 2017.
Kaine says he wants people to know how serious he is about being reelected as senator, and he gave kudos to his supporters for an impressive turnout.
We started at 11 o'clock Friday in Farmville, and we worked our way west along Route 58, got to Bristol and Abingdon, and we worked our way up I-81. This is the last event of the 3-day swing, and we have had wonderful crowds, although none so big as this one.
Frank Nolan is the chair of the Augusta County Democratic Committee. His group sponsored the event. Nolan says he has high hopes for the Virginia senator's political career. He explained Kaine's strategy to win back the Senate seat.
That he wants to start early, and he made his tour in the non-red traditional areas of Virginia, the Southwest, the Valley. He did not do it in the normal blue area. So it shows that he's going to work on the red area. He'll have to concentrate some on the blue area, but his intention is I'd like to see him win this election by 66%. If he does that, I think he'll be our 47th president.
Kaine explained why he wants to remain a senator.
I love being in the Senate because I love battling. I'm on the Armed Services Committee. There's no state that's more connected to the defense mission in the United States than Virginia is. Not just active and Guard and Reserve, but military families and veterans and DOD civilians and DOD contractors.
He admits he learned during the presidential campaign about the alleged Russian interference, but says the disappointment has had a silver lining.
I got a consolation prize for being on a national ticket and losing, which was they let me get on the committee I most wanted to be on: health, education, labor, pensions, all on one committee, all health care, all education, all labor and workforce rules, pensions for everybody. That's the committee I most wanted to be on.
Kaine says he has worked diligently to see Virginia succeed.
Because we want a Virginia that works for all, whether it's education or health care or jobs. It shouldn't matter what region you're in. It shouldn't matter where your parents came from. It shouldn't matter whether you have an accent or not. We in Virginia benefit from the great richness and diversity of the population. We want a Virginia that lives up to the name Commonwealth.
I questioned Nolan about the numerous calls for President Trump to be impeached. He says the federal investigations remind him of a former president.
Richard Nixon.
Why do you say that?
Well, because he obstructed justice, and he was impeached, and I think Trump will be impeached under along the same lines.
According to Kaine, too many people are putting the cart before the horse.
I think we have to protect that investigation so it can answer every question. I don't think you can say what the outcome is till the investigation is done. So I haven't reached a conclusion about it because you've got to let Director Mueller and the team get to the bottom of the question. And there's a series of questions. Was the firing of the FBI director part of an effort to obstruct justice? Was there improper collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russian government to hijack an American election? These are some of the subjects that are being examined. We got to let the investigation run its course before we conclude what should be done. There's really two sets of investigations. The Mueller investigation is about whether anybody should be criminally prosecuted. Some have already pled guilty, some have been charged. But there's a second investigation, the Intelligence Committee in the Senate. Mark Warner is the lead Democrat. They're doing the investigation, what was the level of Russian interference in the elections, because they're not really looking at criminal culpability, but they're looking at how to protect the American election system from attacks in the future. And they're both very important. So we have to let the investigations continue and be completed.
He says he understands the anger circulating across the country for President Donald Trump and his administration.
And similarly, if the White House were to try to fire Mueller or stop the investigation, we would hold the administration accountable for that and make sure we're doing everything we can to make sure that Director Mueller and the investigation is protected. But we have to answer all the questions before we make a decision about what should be done. You know, it's funny, there is a senator, Angus King of Maine, who was actually born in Virginia, who was a Senate staffer during 1974. And he will often tell us, this moment in many ways feels like when I was a staffer back in 1974.
In Stanton, Elaine Rackley for Breaking Through.